Hello, and welcome to my third tutorial in my series of Python tutorials. For more information, please visit docs.python.org/3.3/tutorial. This tutorial is for Python 3. Now, last time I talked about numbers and comments and the different types of numbers. There's integers, floating point numbers, and some other types as well. This time I'll be talking about strings, what they are and how you can use them. It's basically a string is a series of characters, and basically they make up letters and words. Now, strings can be enclosed with single or double quotes, and they will return with the same result. So, for example, if I have a string, this is a string with single quotes, or what you would call an apostrophe, then it will return that same string. I could also have a string with double quotes. This is also a string, and it still returns a string. Now you're probably wondering, you're looking up here and you see that the first quote starts the string and the second quote ends the string. Now what if, for example, you have a string that says, I don't want to eat dinner. Now, as you can see, the first quote starts the string, and then this apostrophe and the word don't ends it. So what are we going to do there? Well, what you can do is use a backslash, which is also known as an escape character, to escape the quotes. So if you put a backslash right before the apostrophe, then it makes the rest of the string work. And it prints out, I don't want to eat dinner. Now, if your string has a single quote, then when you print it out, the enclosing quotes will be a double quote, and vice versa. Now, the print function can make strings a bit more pretty by removing any special characters and the escape characters and such. Now, let's give an example of this. We're going to define a variable s and set it equal to the string first line, and then backslash n, and then second line. Now, a backslash n means it's basically it starts a new line. Now we're gonna print this. We're gonna just put s into the interpreter, and it'll print first line / n second line. But if we use the print function, which you can do by doing print opening parentheses, because functions, when they take arguments, they need parentheses. So you do print opening parentheses, the whatever you want to print. In this case, it'll be the variable s, and then a closing parentheses, and then it'll print first line and then second line. Remember, backslash n, it means new line, and we'll learn a bit more about what this means later and how you can use it. Now, let's say you don't want to print a special character, like a new line. Then you can escape the special character with another backslash. Well, there's two ways you can do that. So let's say you have s first, so s equals first line, and then a backslash, another backslash, because the backslash is escaping the /n, and then second line. Now if we put s, it's gonna put exactly what I printed into the console. But now if we use the print function to do it, then it's just gonna say first line /n second line. Now notice one thing about the print function. as you can see, when I type the name of the variable in the interpreter, or if I type a string in the interpreter, then when it prints the string back out to you, then it has enclosing quotes. But when you use the print function, it doesn't have the enclosing quotes. And basically, this helps make the string a bit more readable whenever you're using the print function. Now, another way you can escape any special characters is with a raw string. And basically, a raw string, a raw string is different than a regular string, and a raw string is defined with you type R and then a quotation mark. So it can be either a single quote or a double quote. It'll still work. So you type R, then my string. I put in S. Still a string, but it's a raw string. So it's a raw string is given the value of literally what you type into it. It doesn't have any special characters or escape characters or anything like that. So it's you have S equals raw string, and then the first line of my string, and then \n, which would do a new line, but with a raw string it won't. And then second line. Now, if we use a print function to print the variable s, then it's still on one line because it's a raw string. It doesn't have the special characters. Now, string literals can span over multiple lines. Basically, how you do this is by using triple quotation marks. So instead of doing this and this, you start the string with 3 quotation marks, and then you end it with 3 more quotation marks. Now, when you do that, a new line is automatically included at the beginning of the string. So let's say I have a string literal over multiple lines, and then it has test, and then I close it. As you can see, as /n test /n, so that means the new line is included in there. If I do print the test, then as you can see, it makes new lines before and at the end. Now, to escape this, you can use the escape / that I showed earlier. So to do this, you open the string literal, / test, and then another /. Well, I was able to remove the first new line from the beginning of the string, but if I were to do print and then test and then print it again, as you can see, there's no new line at the beginning this time. Now, we're going to talk about something called concatenation. What is concatenation, you ask? Well, clearly it's related to strings. Basically what concatenation is joining 2 strings together. Now, there's several methods for concatenation, and I'll show you most of them. Now, the first is to just put two string literals right next to each other. So let's say you have pi and thon, not ton, thon. They'll be concatenated automatically. Now, strings can be glued together using the plus operator, and they can be repeated using the times operator. So let's say we have the string literal John, and then times 8. It's going to print John 8 times. Now, you can also, like I said, you can use the plus operator. So if you do pi plus thon, then that'll also concatenate them. Now you're probably wondering, what's the point of having this method of concatenation and this method? Now, the reason is you can't you can't concatenate two strings using not two strings. You can't concatenate a string literal and a variable using that method. So if you want to do that, you have to use the plus operator. So let's say s equals pi, and you do s thon. Oh, s thon. It will return a syntax error. But if you do s plus thon, then it will return Python. Now, you also can't do this using expressions either. So if you have let's say pi, let's say you have s times 2. No. Yeah, let's say you have the string literal pi times 2, and then you have thon, return a syntax error. But if you do pi times 2 plus thon, then it'll work. Now, another useful thing you can do with this method right here of concatenation is it can be used to break up long strings over multiple lines of code. So for example, if you have s equals line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. Now in the end, they'll all be concatenated, so if you put s in the interpreter, it'll return all that concatenated. Now you're probably noticing that 1, 2, 3, 4 in line, they're all put together because I forgot to put a space at the end of each one. Now if you're trying to concatenate several sentences and you're doing a lot of work with words, you're going to want to remember to include spaces in there, or else it's just going to look really wonky like it does right here. Now, what if, let's say you want to get the first character of a string, and only the first character, or the last character, or the middle two characters? Well, this is possible using something called string indexing. Now, let's define a string. S equals Mike. Now, indexing strings, you do this by having the name of the string or the variable. So in this case, the variable name is s, so s, and then a square bracket, and indexes always start with the number 0. So the indexes for the string wouldn't be 1 to 4 because it's 4 characters, but it'd be 0 to 3. So say I want to get the last character, then I do s, square bracket, and then 3, and it'll return e. Or if I want to get the first, s square bracket 0, returns m. Now, indexes can also have negative numbers, and when you use negative numbers, it starts from -1 going back from the right. So s -1 will return e, or s -3 I. Now we'll also talk about something called slicing. Now let's define a longer string. Let's just use JavaScript. Now, in the string, you're gonna wanna. I'm gonna show you how to slice. So string slicing allows you to get a substring, so you can get like the word Java from the string JavaScript or script from this whole string. You can just get any substring out of it. Now to do this, you do s square bracket, and then the first character that you want to get and the last character. Now remember that slicing, and when you're doing slicing, the first character is included, but the last character is not included. So if I did 0, 4, then you might think that'd give me 5 characters, but no, it actually only give me 4 characters. Java. Now slicing has some pretty useful defaults. If you omit the first, number, then it defaults to the beginning of the string. And let's say I put 5, then it'll give me the first 4 characters in there. No, the first 5 characters in there. So Java's, whatever that means. Also, if you omit the last one, then it'll default to the end of the string. So say I put 4, and then I omit the last number, then it'll give me the rest of the string script. Now remember that the first number is always included and the second number is excluded. This is done so that if I have s and then 5 plus s 5, then it should return JavaScript. Pretty neat, huh? Now, if you're not doing slicing and you're just trying to get index from the string, if you try and use a number that's too big, then it'll return an error. So let's say 23 or 32, whatever. Then it'll give me traceback, index error, string index out of range. Now when slicing, index errors are handled a bit nicer. So let's say I have S632, it'll just return JavaScript. Or if I have S 56, and then I want to go up to 123. The word JavaScript obviously isn't that many characters, but if I hit enter it, then it'll just return an empty string. Now a string cannot be changed. It's immutable. So let's say I want to assign to, say, S0 equals L, then I can't do that. It says it will give you type error. String object does not support item assignment. So if you want to have a different string, just make a new string. How about G equals L, G equals L plus S1. It'll return LavaScript. Now, one more thing you can do with strings is get their length. You can do this with the len function. len, that's s. 10. It's 10 characters. Now, the length, if you want to get the last character, but you just want to find it using the length function, remember that the index starts from 0 and it only goes up, so it's 10 characters, but it starts from 0, so it only goes up to 9. So if I did s and then len s, I would return an index out of range, because the length is 10, but the index only goes up to 9. So you're going to want to do slen s minus 1, and that will return the last character. That is all for this tutorial. Thank you very much for watching. I'll probably have another one uploaded later this week. And please subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like. And if you'd like to keep up with my upload schedule, then please follow my Twitter at the Pysource. And also visit my website because I post recent news and what's going on with the channel and such. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.